Hi, I'm Christine Hassler, and what you're about to see is a live life coaching episode. For over a decade, I've been a master coach, best-selling author, and speaker, helping people free themselves from their past, change their present, and get what they really want. For more information, you can go to christinehassler.com and take my life coaching assessment and identify any obstacles that are in your way to really reaching your fullest potential. You can also listen to more episodes of my coaching podcast on iTunes. Just search for Over It and On With It. Enjoy the episode. Today I'm joined by Chrystal, and we tackle a topic that I know a lot of you are going to relate to, which is self-worth. I say to Chrystal in the episode that feelings of not enoughness or questions around self-worth or feeling like we're broken or unlovable in some way is something that most humans, especially in our kind of Western world, struggle with. Part of our journey as humans evolving in consciousness is to really upgrade that limiting belief that we're not worthy in some way, or there's something we have to do to earn our worth, to prove our enoughness. So many of us really fall into the conditioning that we have to do something to be worthy, that we have to do something to be enough, that we have to do something to be loved. And that comes from our old childhood issues and programming and patterning. And it's not true. There is nothing you need to do to earn worthiness or enoughness or love. And you've probably noticed that. For a lot of you, you've probably checked off a lot of boxes in your life. You've achieved things, you've done things that you thought would give you the feelings of worthiness, but yet you're still not feeling it. You still think there's something you need to prove. That's because nothing outside of you, no person, no accomplishment, no amount of money, nothing outside of you is going to make you feel worthy and really help you embody that worthiness and that enoughness. That is truly an inside job. And it requires going back and updating some of the beliefs, healing some of those core issues, and also reframing how we look at certain life experiences. And you'll see me do that with Chrystal in this episode. So as you're watching, consider, do you struggle with self-worth? Do you know intellectually you're enough, but yet you just aren't feeling it? Did you have a significant life event where someone left or someone was critical, and so you started to believe that you did something wrong? You might have started to personalize it. And again, even though intellectually you know it wasn't your fault, some part of you is having a hard time believing that. Do you relate to really being a giver? Like it's easy for you to give to other people and to really show up and to show great compassion, but when it comes to really receiving and taking things in and knowing you're worthy and really feeling that, that's a little more challenging. And finally, do you live life a little bit on guard? When something good happens, are you waiting for the other shoe to drop? Do you tend to think in worst case scenario because you're trying to protect yourself from getting disappointed? So keep these questions in mind as you watch or listen to my coaching session with Chrystal. Chrystal, hi, welcome to the show.
Hi.
How can I help?
I want to understand my worth.
Your worth?
My worth, yes. I notice that I have trouble loving myself, or whenever I'm triggered, I start questioning who I am, if I'm enough, even if I'm doing everything well. Like, perfect example at my job. I can be doing everything well, I'm committed, I'm showing my hard work, but I'll still question if it's enough. And that enoughness has always been a theme throughout my life, or any emotional struggle I've had. And the reason I'm asking about my worth is because when I was 16, it was probably from suppression, but I felt like I was depressed to the point where like I was suicidal.
Okay.
And so the main question that came into my mind was my worth. Like I didn't feel like I was enough. And so that is my question today, because that's been the theme for these past like 9 years.
Yeah. Well, how would you know if you were enough?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, for some reason, I'll still question it, even though I know, like, consciously, logically, I'm doing everything right. I'm showing up. I'm loving towards my peers. Right. I'm responsible. Like, I know I'm making good choices, but yet, when I'm by myself, I'm like, come on. So.
Well, you're attempting to create a feeling or an embodiment of a knowing through ration and logic and evidence.
Yeah.
And those two things don't know. It's like trying to cook a meal with a bunch of tools you got at the hardware store.
Yeah.
Like you can clank around for a while, but you're not going to get to the essence of what you really want.
Exactly.
So this is a great thing you're bringing up, because every human being that I've ever met or come across, especially in our Western world, I shouldn't say every human being, but most, especially in kind of the Western culture, has some limiting belief that goes along the lines of I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm broken. And from my point of view, our whole purpose in being on Earth and evolving the human species is to really get, like really know, not just hear, but really know that we are whole, that we are complete, that we're not better or less than anyone else. So I know you know this intellectually, but you're not feeling it, right? It hasn't slipped into your unconscious mind.
Yeah, and that's what I've been working on. Like I will say at moments I'll feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I've integrated, like I got it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I can be triggered. Like I was recently, that made me want to submit to the show. And all of a sudden it's like everything just went left. And I was like, oh, I felt good, and now it's...
Because that's how we grow. We grow through contrast. If, you're 25?
Yeah, I'm 25.
So if you had this like direct knowing that you totally got it at 25, what would you do the rest of your life?
Yeah,
You'd kind of be done here on the planet.
That makes
So
sense.
you're constantly going to be going through contrast. So when a triggering event happens, what I'd love you to do is not go into, oh, I lost it, or oh, I'm backtracking, or oh, not, because triggering events are triggering enough. But when we attach the judgment of like, oh, I thought I had it, now I lost it, it just makes it worse.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is we all have our unique story and our unique triggering events that reinforce this BS belief that we're not enough in some way. And it's different for everybody. And how we really get to the embodiment of we're enough and we're complete and we're whole is to look at our own triggering events, the things that have happened in our life, and heal them and have them exist differently inside of us.
Yeah.
It's like basic human psychology, which I know you know. I'm just saying that to you. So what I'd love to explore with you is, where did this story of not enoughness begin for you?
I think it began with my dad, for sure. One of the main events that I remember when I was 5 years old, living in Orange County, like to this day. And so my dad is in my life. I go see him, but I remember when I was a little kid seeing him leave and moving back to where he's from, Colombia. And just thinking like, just being so sad. And I always thought, at least when I was a child, I always thought that he was like going to come back for me, and then he didn't make that choice to move back. And so even though I know he's in my life and I love him to death, and
Your adult self knows.
Yeah, absolutely. I still find myself thinking about that experience and wanting him, I guess, still with me, even though I'm grown, and like that's not what is going to happen, you know?
Yeah. What do you remember about your relationship with him when you were little?
I love my dad. I love my dad so much.
Yeah.
I actually recently saw pictures that he posted on social media, and of like me with him and like my family in Colombia. That's a little kid. I was like,
So tell me more about that. How did you feel around him?
I love my dad. Like I was always happy with my dad. I always felt really safe with my dad. So I love him to death. I always had fun with my dad. I always felt like my dad understood me. My dad's more of the empathetic one, and so I always felt like I really needed that sense of guidance growing up, and it was kind of hard not having it, because I always felt like I was crazy, where I was like, I should be grateful, my life is good, but I'm still having these difficulties that manifested into this, what I felt as depression for a long time.
Right. So would it be fair, and it's great, the emotions coming up, and there's Kleenex down there if you need them.
Thanks.
So would it be fair to say that your dad, up until you were 5, was really like a light in your life? You felt safe with him. It sounds like you felt seen and understood.
Oh yeah, I still talk to my dad about things.
Okay, you felt love. Stay with me in the 5. That's okay. No, you're doing great. You felt really loved by him. These are all really important things. These are all really important to our emotional development. These are really important to our psyche. And you had all these things, and then he physically went away. Is that accurate?
Yes, he moved back to Colombia, and then I started traveling there over my summer, so I would visit him.
He went from a consistent place where you got love, safety, seen, fun, to he was there, but it was more inconsistent.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see how that's a traumatic shift?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and so what, as a 5-year-old, beliefs do you think you formed about yourself and about life, and even about your dad?
Oh, easy. That no matter what I do and how much I love, or how wonderful and giving of a person I am, it's still not going to be enough, because I feel like I can be put second place, because in the end, like, that choice was made. Like,
and what choice do you perceive him making?
Well, that he was able to just consider me as a second option. Like I felt like I was like a sacrifice, but as like that I can make that choice. And so I think I definitely internalized that, thinking, wow, my own parent can do that. Dang, like.
Right. So if he had stayed, do you think you'd still have this issue of worth?
For some reason, like my honest answer still comes up as yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, in the sense that like I have my dad that loves me, and I have that sense of security, and I have, both of my parents with me, but for some reason, I still want to say no. And I get maybe that's something that I've considered, and something else that I couldn't piece together, and that was more recently, because I guess I do have two parents, so maybe that has something to do with it as well.
Well, and maybe it's also because intuitively know that every human struggles with this on some level.
Yeah.
Am I enough? Am I deserving? And we all have our particular way that it plays out. What I really see in your current setup is if dad had stayed around and he had continued to be this sense of like kind of like what you sourced love and safety and security on, then you might have even had more of a codependent enmeshed relationship with him.
Yeah, I can see that.
Would you say that you're pretty independent and you're good at figuring things out and navigating the world?
Up to this point in my experiences, I like to think so. My mom made sure to be a good, strong, independent,
Right. Right. And can you see that was part of the blessing of your dad leaving?
Yeah.
Is that you had to strengthen this other part of you? Whereas if he had stayed, who knows, that might have atrophied a little bit. So I'm just giving you kind of like a different perspective. There's lots of like ways life could have set this up for you.
Okay.
And the way how we can kind of shift out of the pain. See, here's the thing. Sometimes to go back and do the work that brings up a lot of old pain, we have to kind of shift out of the pain enough and see it from a different perspective, so going back and dealing with the pain isn't as daunting.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like for you, your dad leaving was a loss.
Okay. Yeah.
You can see that. And it still brings up emotion to this day.
Yeah.
But how do you think it served you? Why do you think your soul picked that?
Oh man, I completely thought about this question too.
Yeah?
Before coming here, I was like, what are my lessons that I'm gaining from this? I don't want to take your answer being like strong and independent. Like I really want it to be from myself and what I learned. I guess really, because I've been thinking about it so much, really understanding my worth without having to garner it from other people. Because if I'm really thinking about like really understanding myself and being able to appreciate and support myself. And
Let me ask you this. How often are you afraid something bad's going to happen or the other shoe's going to drop, especially when life gets good?
I think about that a lot. I do. I tend to have, I think that was another portion that kind of scared me when I felt like I was depressed, is that I'd have really intense, just like worst scenario thoughts. I could even think about it coming over here, being like, oh, something's gonna happen to disrupt this wonderful moment in my life to come.
Exactly.
And I was like, why am I thinking, like, why am I thinking
You know
like
why?
that?
Why?
Because I'm always waiting for something to
Right,
happen
because you
outside.
had all this love and this person that you kind of like was your God in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And then he's gone. Not completely, but gone enough for you to feel it and
Yeah.
for it to feel like a major loss for you. So I think it also at 5 years old, you formed the belief of, well, can't get too excited about anything. Can't trust love, can't trust good things, can't trust good feelings. The other shoe's gonna drop. I always gotta be on guard. So because of that, you're always gonna be manifesting the other shoe dropping, which then perpetuates your belief that you're not worthy.
Yeah.
So you just kind of keep collecting evidence for your story.
Even if like the evidence may not be happening, I will think it. Like I will think something, even if it's like super extreme, even though everything is like awesome. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Right.
I will still think of something negative in my mind, and I don't understand why that's my thought process, even though.
You're trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
What are you trying to protect yourself from?
I'm not sure, being disappointed.
Yeah. Being hurt, being disappointed. getting your hopes up, getting so excited about something, falling in love with something, feeling so successful about something, and then having it taken away.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you say that because, not funny, it's accurate that you say that because I felt like these, especially recently, these past, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years, I felt like I was dealing with those issues. And fortunately, with through your show and everything, really trying to change my perception of things. Like, I was working a job before the one I just like I told you earlier,
Right.
and out of the blue, just nowhere, like this horrible evaluation, all these things in the very, like as if I was like ruining the company, and I was like, I can't be here. Like I literally cannot be here, especially these people do not want me. Like I was like having this internal struggle because I was worrying about my mom, because me and my mom, we take care of each other and I help her out a lot. And I was like, I physically cannot be in this space. But I was like, I cannot be here. Like I am dreading this and being around people who, they tell me horrible things, and all of a sudden, if I come back, they're just gonna look at me and think they can treat me any kind of way. And so I got, of course, with my mom's permission, because it affects her too, I was like, Mom, I can't be here anymore.
Yeah.
And so I resigned. I just straight resigned, didn't even show up. And then after that, 6 days later, I ended up being contacted for the position here. I didn't even apply for it. It's just an abrupt choice that I made.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because as long as you're kind of running that low self-worth story, you are going to attract opportunities that resonate on that. And you made that very self-honoring decision to leave. And so the universe was like, awesome. Like, here's something that's more in alignment because you up-leveled yourself. Yeah. But the thing is, you've got to keep up-leveling for the universe to keep up-leveling. Okay. So I want to go back and I want to give you a different way to hold this whole kind of abandonment thing, because really that's at the core of this. Yeah. You had an abrupt loss of something you had attached to so much love and safety and trust and everything like that, okay? So you keep recreating it in your life, other shoe dropping, feelings of low self-worth. And really, I think it's more this fear of something bad's gonna happen, I can't trust life, that perpetuates the story of not being worthy.
You know, it's kind of interesting that you say that, because I think about like my parents and growing up too. Some of the stories that I heard from, of course, from their experiences growing up, that can't be super trusting, can't be, but then I was like, I don't know how much that's going to serve me anymore, because then I can't.
It's not, but it's still kind of running.
Yeah.
So that, like, you can't trust life is going to keep bringing kind of crappy circumstances that perpetuate that I don't deserve good things because crappy things keep happening to me. Okay, so stay with me on this. So can you see that you personalized Dad leaving at 5 years old?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So as long as you personalize that experience, you keep creating it in your life.
Okay.
Okay? If you go back and you don't personalize it, and you see that it was the degree to which he could show up, like it was his decision that had zero, zilch, nada to do with you.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with you at all. Then you don't personalize it. You don't make it about you. And as long as you don't make it about you, you don't have to keep recreating the story in your own life.
Okay. So making it about me, like not making like a victim story kind of thing?
Well, yeah, not making it part, because it was really his choice to leave. You were there, trusting him, trusting life, for whatever reason. He had his own issues, stories, circumstances, whatever, that had zero to do with him and 100% to do with you, but you're taking his issues into your life.
Whoa. Okay. Wow. I never thought of it in that way. Taking his own, internalizing his own problems.
Yep.
Wow.
Because you made his actions have something to do with you.
Yeah.
And therefore, you continue to take that into your life experience.
That everything has something to do with me, whether something goes wrong or whatever.
Exactly. Well, and you you keep recreating experiences where it feels like the other shoe's going to drop, because you personally think you caused that. You personally think you caused him to leave. So you personally, on an unconscious level, believe that bad things happen to you. So as long as you believe that, bad things continue to happen.
Wow. That's crazy. Like, I'm taking this, like, so no matter what, even unconsciously, even if I can't like access it, that's at least at this moment, like this is the belief that I have. Yep. So my main limiting belief that lack of enoughness or that I'm not safe in this place.
Yep. Okay. Yep. That's what fueled the self-worth. Because remember I said we all have that kind of like limiting belief.
Yeah.
And how we work with it. We can do all the affirmations in the world and read all the books, but until we get to the core event of what like perpetuates that limiting belief, we're kind of like, we know we're worthy intellectually, but we don't feel it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And because you have this limiting belief that keeps reinforced, that you can't trust life, bad things happen to you, you have to believe you're not worthy, because why else would the other shoe keep dropping?
Yeah.
Or something good happens for a while, but then, oh, look out. You never know what's going to happen, because that's what happens to me.
Or even if it's not happening, I'm looking for it to happen.
Right.
Like I'm just
always
like,
on the lookout, which is self-protection.
Yeah. But it's not comfortable though.
Exactly. But if you really felt your inherent worth and you trusted life, because that's the other thing. When we don't feel worthy, it's hard to trust life and the universe.
Yeah.
Because we don't really trust the universe has our back. We don't really trust life is going to work in our favor. Even when things are hard, we don't really trust it's for us. Because if we feel unworthy in some way, we see life lessons more as a punishment and as our fault. We personalize everything. You personalize your dad leaving, so you personalize every difficult situation that comes your way. You think it's your fault, you blame yourself, which perpetuates a limiting story of low self-worth and not enoughness.
Yeah. I definitely do that, because I have I can be very controlling in the sense like I want to make sure everything is perfect and make sure that I got everything. Is everyone okay? Are you good? Like just whatever. Or for me to like, even if I'm trying, I don't know, like with people or whatever, manipulate the situation, because I guess I'm good with people and I have that intuition. I can even take on the blame that I feel people are like upset about, just so it's good.
Right.
Which is ridiculous, because I end up being frustrated.
All self-protection.
Okay.
So the dots are connecting. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So how we work with this is we give different meaning, and because there's what happens and then there's what we make it mean.
Yeah.
And you, again, intellectually, I know that on some level it wasn't your fault, but that little 5-year-old inside still thinks it has something to do with her. And she took it personally on some level. So we've got to like reframe it and have you hold it differently inside for you.
How do I do that? Because I've been trying.
Well, we got to go back and like really get to the truth of why Dad left.
Oh, I do know at least somewhat, because he wasn't happy. I know that he wasn't happy being in the States. He wasn't happy being here, and like, do you have an unhappy father, growing up with an unhappy father, or do you make a choice for yourself to make sure that you're.
And why wasn't he unhappy? Why do you think he couldn't be happy here?
Well, I know he experienced definitely experienced. I remember clearly like experiencing a lot of racism here, growing up. Or not growing up, but during his experience in the 90s. Probably, I don't think my mom and him weren't really working out, of course. And I think there was some issues compromising on how he could like go to school and stuff. And, it ended up being a more viable option to move back. So I know those choices, but then, in the back of my mind, I'll be like, but all your friends moved here with you and they stayed. They had kids.
Well, let's try to, I want you to kind of put on your psychologist hat and not be his daughter for a second.
Okay. All right.
But kind of like get into his psyche a little bit, and knowing that he didn't feel happy here. His relationship with your mom wasn't great. He missed home. I don't know what some of his childhood stuff was, but do you think he felt? Do you think he felt successful as a man here in the States?
Oh wow, wow. Probably not, because I know that he didn't get into the school he wanted to. So he's like, I'm gonna come to the States and have that experience, and still wanted to go to school, but couldn't make that happen, and to be in the place that he is now. So he went. I know that was I think still a motivation for being able to go.
So he didn't feel successful. He didn't feel on purpose. He felt discriminated against at times. Okay, and as a man, what do you think that did to him?
Probably didn't make him feel good, especially as a young man.
Okay, so stay with me.
Yeah.
So would you say his self-worth was pretty low?
Maybe.
Okay. If I have let's say I have a jar this big, and I want to pour a gallon of water in it.
You can't do it.
No.
No.
Okay? So imagine his self-worth and self-love jar was this big. And here comes you. a gallon of love and a gallon of like knowing he's so worthy and seeing the true him, not the way he saw himself. Because as a little girl, you saw him as God. You saw him as a king.
Yeah.
He didn't see himself like that. How uncomfortable do you think that was for him?
I probably didn't even know how to handle it.
Right.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, he might not have been able to handle all the love that you were giving and how you saw him, because he didn't see himself that way. In a lot of ways, he felt like a failure.
Oh my gosh.
And probably felt some shame. And this may be conscious, it may be unconscious, but maybe the only thing he felt like he could do was leave, because he thought maybe there he could prove himself, he could have a life for himself, he could be the man that you thought he was.
Yeah. I mean, he is doing really well. He is doing very well, so.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh gosh. Because then a part of me is like, well, I wish I would, like, I don't know if I'd moved there, about to experience all that, because I see how like happy everyone is, and
Right.
you know, married and having I'm gonna have a little brother too. So
Yeah.
so and that.
But here's but this is the dots I want you to connect, is that it really had nothing to do with not loving you. It had nothing to do with not wanting to be in your life. It had nothing to do with your worth. In a sense, he might have felt like he wasn't enough, like he couldn't be the father that he really wanted to be for you here.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I can understand that if you're having difficulties feeling good about yourself, especially if I'm going through it. Like I get it. Like, then how are you gonna feel like you can take care of like
exactly
a small life? Like how if you don't even feel like you can do it? Like shoot, the idea of me even being a parent right now, 25, like I'm just like, whoa, no way.
Yeah. And you said that you have a good relationship with him now, right?
I like to think so. I think I can own that. I feel like maybe now some of my old stuff might be leaking out because I'm grown and I'm more mature, as opposed to, you know, feeling guilty that, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. Like I have parents and, you know, I get to travel the world and da-da-da-da-da, you know, but now as I've really started exploring myself more and my life has been shifting in the direction that I want to, now it's like I feel like more of my old stuff is starting to come out and leak on him, as opposed to maybe communicating in a more effective way.
Yeah.
Or if I try to, maybe it's not reciprocated the way I would like it to, but I can't expect that from someone that's
well, and
through
rightfully
me, you know?
so. You probably had some anger and hurt because
Yeah.
you were taking him leaving personally. So my encouragement to you, Chrystal, would be to work through, to go back and give that 5-year-old a voice.
Yeah.
Like to work through some of that anger and that hurt and that sadness, and really reassure her and really, really help her understand, oh, sweetheart, this had nothing to do with you.
And how do I do that? Because I've like been practicing like that visualization. I
Yeah.
can have me on my phone.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the Expectation Hangover helps. Personal Mastery course helps. Actually just writing, like look, you said you looked at pictures of her on a phone talking internally, like I was just talking to you in that place. It's like you didn't do anything wrong. And here's the other way. Life will keep bringing you opportunities to practice this. It will keep triggering you.
Okay.
For just not forever.
I know.
Just to give you practice.
Yeah.
So in those moments where you feel the shoes dropped, something bad has happened, you don't feel self-worthy, you don't feel something, you not only reassure 25-year-old Chrystal, you go back to that 5-year-old little girl and you're like, ooh, because really it's her that's getting triggered.
Yeah.
It's that part of you that keeps kind of recreating these circumstances and these events. So you go back, and that's when you really talk to her, is in those triggering events. And you say, you didn't do anything wrong. This isn't your fault. You're so worthy. You're so lovable. What do you need?
And from there, it just kind of like naturally grows, like understanding like my place and my worth, and like really being content.
Yes, yes. And the more you shift the way you see your dad moving, you know, he didn't move away from you. He moved toward the man he needed to become.
Okay. Yeah.
So that he could eventually be the father to you that he wanted to be. He may not be the father that he might not have done it the way you wanted him to, but he had to do it the way he thought he was doing it best for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want him to be there. Like, of course, like I love him so much, you know, like I'm gonna have a little brother, maybe a big sister soon, and you know, and I want him to be that person, and that's what prompted me to be here, because I felt so guilty that I felt like I was also like projecting onto my future little brother that like they're gonna have all these things I didn't have growing up that I wanted, and the dad that he is going to be for him as he deserves. I was like the peace is just like, oh, I want that so bad.
Well, you want it so for you, my love, and so I don't know that he'll ever give you exactly what that. I don't know that he'll give his son that. He's on his own journey. Mm-hmm. But the most important thing is that you really give that to you.
Yeah.
And you know, we never want to source our love from someone else.
Yeah, that's
especially
correct.
a parent.
Yeah.
Because people have their own stuff. And if we source our love from anyone, then it definitely makes self-worth even harder.
Yeah.
Because someone can just be in a mood one day, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, love is gone? Am I not worthy? Like, I don't think I did anything to change, but wait, you're not loving me the same. Yeah. So we want to make sure that we're never sourcing our love or basing our worth on anybody's actions or the way someone else shows up.
Yeah, and I think I wanted that so badly too.
Of course.
Because like growing up with my mom, she's very different.
Yeah.
And so because being so independent, I don't think with my mom, I was like, I craved that guidance, and I really didn't always feel like I got that that kind of attention that I needed. Yeah. And so, you know, that's kind of my lesson that I started realizing now. That's like, I always denied. I would hear it, you know, talking to other people, or even because I've gone to like my own small therapy here and there and heard those same things, but really never took it in, or like, no, that's not it. But then recently I was just like, kind of looking at different scenarios in my life, and I was like, I really, in a lot of ways, I think I do that. And coming here, I was like, sorry, I'm trying to articulate it as I think about it, and I feel it right now, you know, that I desperately wanted like to have that for my parents, or seeing other kids like being like either more, what I interpreted as more successful than I am, or this, that, and the other, because of having that investment, you know. And recently I was just like, but I need to do this for myself, because the life that I want to live, there's no way I can do any of it if I don't really believe that I can. And that comes from, if I'm sourcing my love from other people, I'm getting validation, or like.
Well, and it's even before, if I don't believe that I can, is knowing that I'm worthy.
Yeah.
Because you can have all the confidence and self-belief and self-affirmation that you want, but if on a core level you don't really know and feel you're worthy, nothing really shifts.
Yeah. Yep. That's correct.
So what was your breakthrough today?
I think my breakthrough today was really shifting my perspective with my dad, and him understanding him more in a place that I am now, being the same age, and how difficult that can be to really be the parent that you want if you don't feel like, and maybe him going through his own stuff, being really capable or worthy of being able to handle it, you know?
Here you go. So he didn't feel self-worth. You personalized his actions.
Yeah.
So now you're taking his self-worth issue into your life.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. Whoa. That is something that I was not expecting to hear at all. Like really internalize. Wow.
Because when we personalize something, we often internalize that person's issues as well. And we carry on their stuff into our life.
And I totally have a habit of like taking in other people's issues too, like, because I am intuitive and I'm good with that, but I was just like, why I feel like I tend to internalize other people's pain, which can make me kind of maybe be catering to a fault, I guess, where I'm more concerned with everyone else around me but myself.
Right.
And I never, the idea of really taking on my dad's issues, and personalizing, wow, that's.
Yeah, so the sooner you give that back to him, the sooner you're going to feel self-worth, and the sooner you're going to feel like the universe really has your back.
So if I give that back, why, like, how does that make me feel that self-worth by giving that back? What is it, like a sense of freedom?
You stop personalizing,
Yeah.
Sense of truth.
The difference between judgment and pain.
Exactly.
With the suffering, right?
Exactly. Exactly. How do you feel?
I definitely feel like a breath of fresh air, because I was just been so like adamantly like, really trying to figure it out and being like, even when I'm visualizing myself sad or as a little girl sad, as opposed to judging myself, I'm like, okay, here, what do you need? Like, what do you need? And trying to hear it and listen to it. And I just never realized, and it just, this really, like in my gut, you know, it makes sense. And this is why I listen to your show, because in my gut, it makes just so much sense that
it means your body's getting it. And
Yeah.
that's how we embody these things.
that I internalized his pain. Like a lot of his stuff I took on myself.
Yep, and that's often the way when someone leaves, how we keep an attachment.
Oh, like attachment to my father, like being in my life?
Yep. Yep. We hang on to their issues as a way to stay connected.
Wow. And you know, I do tend to connect with people on, like, when it comes to issues or talking about the issues and things like that. That's bad because I love, you know, people in my life. But
Yeah.
like, wow.
Vulnerability is great, but we don't want to bond over issues, right? You really want to, like, shine.
Yeah. I feel like I really have started to shine on it, like, recently.
I see it.
Yeah. I know. I just, life really is coming in full circle. I can't even, like, handle it. And then, like, being here and then hearing this.
Yes, you can.
I can handle it.
Take it in.
I'm taking it in, and I'm just breathing through it and being so grateful.
Just breathe that in. Just, I'm worthy. I'm worthy.
I'm worthy.
Of love.
Of love.
Of connection.
Of connection.
Of abundance.
Of abundance.
Joy.
Joy. Oh
Ease and grace.
Ease and grace. Saying it out loud with someone else who's like,
keep going.
Is very different. I'm worthy of abundance. I'm worthy of everything that I want in my life. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of being able to achieve anything that I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm worthy of it being easy.
What would you say?
I'm worthy of it being easy and graceful.
Yeah, I'm worthy of it being easy and graceful.
And I'm really worthy to be seen for who I am.
For who I am.
Exactly as I am right now.
Exactly as I am right now. Why is it so hard to say those words? Like, why is it like...
Just new neural nets forming in your brain. You've predicated your worth on doing things. So why it's hard in this moment is because there's no because afterwards. We're not saying I'm worthy because.
I'm trying to think of like my language too, and like, yeah, makes sense.
You don't need a because. You don't need to justify your worth. You're lovable and worthy and enough just as you are. And the more you see that and own that, the more you'll feel it. The more your life will start to show up that way.
Yeah. Oh, like my heart is like is beating right now. Like it's really.
Yeah. So just breathe it in, because what's also happening is you're receiving right now a lot of my love and support and compassion. And so just take that in. I know there's nothing you have to do. There's nothing you have to give back. You're just worthy of receiving it.
Yeah. I think I tend to give it out a lot. Like I always say, like you give what you always feel you really need.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm having one of those moments right now.
It's beautiful to be a giver, but if it's out of balance and not in harmony with really receiving, especially receiving in the areas that are hard, it's out of balance.
Oh.
So you got to practice your receiving muscle. Just little things, like if somebody gives a compliment, just say thank you.
I always tell people that too. I get so
And receive the universe blessings without questioning when the other shoe's going to drop.
Yeah. That's in my thought process, what I'm really working on, and I guess this is the first step in order to do that, is just, it's all good. It's okay. You know, we're always in interaction with the universe. You know, I can only control myself, but I can't control everything else, so I got to take it in, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and just even simpler, I'm worthy. This is all for me. I'm loved. I'm no more or less worthy than anyone else.
I'm more or less worthy than anybody else.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot. I didn't think how much like this would be, I guess, viscerally, you know, because I guess I'm really like taking it in as opposed to being here.
Good.
You know? And that's why I'm having such a hard time, like saying it so quietly. You know?
That's good. That's good. You don't need to say anything at all. You can just let it shift and reorient things in your body.
Yeah,
It'd be good to, after, when you leave, to just write, I just learned and I feel, and really capture what's happening for you.
Yeah, okay. I think that'll make, doing this moment will make a lot of the changes that I've seen from, like, whether it's going on with my family and things like that, and just listen to your show and learning a lot. And for me, this was that fundamental in order to maybe make some of those changes. Maybe, I don't know, within my family or generationally, or, patterns and
You
things.
do it for you, and it'll shift.
Yeah. That was
forward
always
and backwards.
Yep, that was always, was it. Like, I know
Yeah.
that was it, because I was like, I want to create my own legacy. It starts with me. But in order for that to happen, I need to really take in my worth and take in other people and take in, like, I'm here. I'm worthy because I'm alive and I'm here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love the way Chrystal showed up in this episode. She was so open, so willing, and so excited to discover things about herself. One thing that was really special about Chrystal is she had this energy of curiosity, and it made her even easier to work with, because when we come into any kind of coaching session or any kind of personal growth with a little bit of frustration, like we really want to have a breakthrough, but also curiosity, there's an openness. Her curiosity really trumped any resistance. I really didn't feel resistance to where we were going, even resistance to pain that was coming up, because she was so curious about why she was like the way she was, and she was curious about looking back into her life. And that's such an important quality when we're approaching self-growth, is that curiosity, because it helps us get to those aha moments even quicker. What was most pivotal about this coaching session with Chrystal is identifying that core event where she decided she was unworthy in some way. And what we were able to get to is she took personally her father leaving. And anytime we take things personally, we take that issue with us. So she was basically taking her father's actions, which were based not on her, but on his own issues with self-worth. She took those personally. So not only did that hurt, but he also took on all the issues of her father's self-worth and brought that into her life. Also, because on some level she thought it was her fault, she thought her father leaving was her fault, then she thinks she's the reason why he left, so she thinks she's the reason bad thing happened, which is why she has this waiting for the other shoe to drop, worst case scenario kind of thinking. Because as long as we think we're the common denominator, we keep recreating these experiences. And life keeps giving her opportunities to really question her self-worth. So she stops thinking that something external is going to make her feel worthy. She keeps having these accomplishments, but still is questioning whether she's enough, because she's starting to see, no matter what I do, that isn't healing this wound, that isn't easing this pain. And so life is really showing her over and over again that it truly is an inside job. So her work is two things, both mentally reframing how she holds her dad leaving inside, really seeing that it was a decision he made because he thought that would make him a better father. Reframing it in that way, holding it differently inside herself, will help her ease the pain a little bit, will help her not take it personally. And then it's working with that 5-year-old, because it's the 5-year-old that's getting triggered in her 25-year-old life by all these events. It's really going back to that 5-year-old and reminding her that it's not her fault, that the universe is for her, that the divine father is always there, that the universe has her back, and she didn't do anything wrong. Chrystal also was able to articulate that she was feeling something viscerally, and that's when we know we're really embodying something. There's so much awareness in the personal transformation industry, and that is great, but mentally getting something versus physically feeling it viscerally in our body, when those two things both happen at the same time, that's when transmutation happens. That's when transformation happens, because we're getting it on a cellular level. And when we get it on a cellular level, then our brain pathways change. Our neural nets basically start to change. And it's way easier to rewire our brain and form different belief systems. So in your personal development work, you want to make sure that you're embodying the feeling, that you're not just having these aha moments mentally, but you're feeling it viscerally as well. So I hope you received a lot of value from this episode. I hope it supports you in really remembering the truth of who you are, knowing that you're worthy, knowing that you're enough, knowing that there's nothing, absolutely nothing you have to do to earn love or worth or enoughness. If you like this episode, please share it and remember to subscribe to this channel. I also respond to comments here, so if you have any questions or feedback or aha moments that you want to share, comment below. And stay tuned for more episodes of the Over It and On With It Life Coaching Podcast.